Greetings. I am your host, Glen Alex, and this is the Glen Alex Show, the 2023 Positive Change Podcast Award winner. Each episode of the Glen Alex Show focuses on a different aspect of health because you are whole and all of you matter. And I am on a mission to help as many people as I can be joyful, connected, confident, and complete. The life experience I call wealth, WELLTH, which is health plus other riches. So please let that sink in because those who are wealthy and living in total health or even in pursuit of living in total health are balanced physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually and do not intentionally harm self or others. Please let that sink in because those who are tormenting our world these days are not balanced, are not living in total health, and are not wealthy by any means. So please join us on this journey and help make the world more loving, more accepting, and more humane for all. Please subscribe to stay connected with me and my work, and stay tuned for this very impactful episode.
Welcome to the Glen Alex Show, where your health matters, set your mind, let it flow. Joyful, connected, confident, complete. Let Glen Alex help you back on your feet. The Glen Alex
Shields Balasic is an author, a coach, and mentor who helps people live their most powerful story. His worldview is that of global citizen, and he believes that it's time to stop perpetuating negative stories that control, manipulate, and stifle the human potential. For Shields, it's time to deconstruct identities that blind humanity from the real connections that we share. As an entrepreneur, Shields is continually driven to build the type of world he wants to live in. So please help me welcome Shields Balasic to the Glen Alex Show. Hi, Shields.
Hi, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you for doing this and for your work. I'm looking forward to our conversation about creative wealth. Okay.
Great. Sounds
Oh,
good.
before we jump in, just give us a laundry list of what you do just to give the audience an idea of all that you encompass.
Well, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur and artist. I publish a magazine in Ashland, Oregon called The Locals Guide, and I've done that for the past 19 years now. And I have written a children's book series called Wiley's World, and I'm also working with the Time of Dreams series, which is books more on human empowerment. And so I'm always looking for creative ways to get out in the world and to create change. So a lot of the work in Locals Guide is about community building, and also my storytelling is as well.
Okay. And your work also includes helping others tap into their own creativity.
Yes, a lot of my coaching that I've done with my business for community building and also my book has been about helping just coach people how to step into and live their most powerful life.
Okay. And creativity is the path for you or one of the paths?
Creativity is my go-to always. I'm
Okay.
always got an idea and I'm always coming up with new things to do. So for me, like creativity is one of the most important skills that we need to learn and already have. Like children are already born with this inherently.
Yes, they are. They are. And for me, creativity just kind of encompasses the whole person because it requires presence and flexibility and just being able to move in the moment to to actualize whatever that creative idea is. So I, in reading through some of your blogs, I came across one, Life is Art. Tell us what you mean by that.
So this is, when I went to art school and when I was younger, well, when I was very young, I was like, I'm going to be an artist. That's what I'm going to do. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go to art school and I'm going to learn how to be an artist. And I went to art school and I found some of the courses really interesting, but I found a lot of them like began to almost like reduce my creativity and restrict how I was moving in the world. And
Okay.
I ended up like I wanted to study art education. I thought, okay, I'm really gonna like I want to work with younger people because they have the most potential for change. And then getting into that system, I was really questioning, oh my gosh, like young kids are the most creative people on the planet. What are we doing trying to teach them when they're really able to teach us? So for me, expanding the definition of art, like expanding the definition of looking at like our life as a big choice. Like how do we choose creatively to continually express ourselves? And that art isn't just something you do like in a class. It's not just something you do. It's something you do all the time. You live it as this entire experience. And so for me, that's like expanding the definition that everyone's an artist. It's just about how do you consciously choose to exhibit it and then claim it.
Okay. That's really interesting how um, I've heard a lot of criticism about formal education not teaching people how to think, rather what to think. And that's what came to mind when you said that when you took the art classes, it kind of stifled how you moved in life. So, it as life being art, you're saying that the choices we make on a daily basis can be creative, artistic.
Yeah, to go on a little more about that, point of view, like how we move our point of view in this life to expand and entertain other ideas outside other identities to expand the definition of who we are, what we are. It's oftentimes you find yourself becoming very restricted as you grow older and you fit into a
Hmm.
certain like model of this is what an artist does. This is who I am, what I have to do. And as if you can like break that boundary, deconstruct that boundary, look at the bigger picture and keep that point of view free creatively free so that you're always finding the yes. You look for the answer of yes, not getting into the dead end of no, okay, I can't do this. I can't write a book.
Okay.
I can't remodel my house because I'm
Mhm.
not an architect. Well, you can get help. You can find someone. And like there's always a possibility in like learning how to stay in the positivity and in the yes that keeps us moving. And it's really more on the energetic space of how do we move? How do we keep moving and not become restricted?
Okay. I really like that. And it speaks to I have a lot of clients who are work with adults who are experiencing anxiety and depression. And a lot of them are really stuck in the story. And they are stuck in the can'ts and the no's. And so I like the framework of being more creative and more open and more fluid with their existence to live a more fulfilling life. I really like that.
Yeah, it's complicated because there's real pain, there's real suffering
Mhm.
in the day to day that we experience and the stress and anxiety that we live and experience taking care of kids, meeting responsibilities. It does have a real cost, and it can take a real toll on your life. And so, how do you stay resilient? Like, how do you keep picking yourself up despite life's challenges? The car breaks down, you're going to get groceries, and you still find the positive. You still find you don't buy into a story either that you've inherited or that you took on.
Mhm.
It's continuous work, as you know.
It is. It is. And that's exactly, I actually took down one of your quotes, which is, life is art. It's a continuous motion of creative choices. And that just adds a level of lightness to me, of possibility rather than I have to. It's more like I can, or these are my opportunities. I really like that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about like how much of an opportunity it is to like be alive and to have the moment and to say, what am I going to say? What am I going to do with this like precious moment that I have? What am
Hmm.
I going like and that goes in a lot to the whole models of attention and energetic, like attention, how we pay attention and how we also work as a society to support one another in this process.
Okay. Yes. Yes. And you also make the point that now is the time. Don't wait for money or the right circumstances to be creative with your own life.
Yeah, for sure. And that's always like, gosh, I mean, how many people do you see? They just have enough wealth, they have enough resource, but they don't make the choice to do something different. And then you see people, you have to be able to work from the place you are now. And then if
Hmm.
you get more money, great. It will help you have a bigger paintbrush. And if you don't have it, you still have to find a way to keep moving because it's really not about how much you do. It's just about that you actually do something, that you have to like that we make the choice to choose, that we make the continuous choice to express.
Absolutely. So you're saying that someone who only makes $30,000 a year still has the um, resources to create their own world.
Absolutely. And even less because they can outmaneuver, outsmart, outcreate. I've been there and I still can, you don't need, it's not about who has more. It's more about who can creatively move and choose and recreate.
Okay. Can you give us an example of someone of limited means who is creative in their own world or in their space?
Well, I mean, I can give you personal examples of
Okay.
stories, times, and then I mean, one of the experiences I'm having at the moment is I'm working on my kids' book series. And there are real pragmatic skills that one must learn to like move in the world, like how to do Zoom, for example, or how to do, how to write and edit your story, how to put it on Kindle. And it does take time. There are like real costs that often take time to learn the pragmatic skills. But for
Hmm.
example, um, right now I've been having so much fun in my creativity of this kids book series because I realized the only restraint, I mean, it's not making any money, but that's not the point. The point is I actually finish it and do it.
Yes.
And so when KDP is free and I can publish books as long as I want and I can get it out into the world and then I can creatively look for other ways to help me from ChatGPT translating something to Fiverr finding someone in Japan to translate the smaller kids book into Japanese. It's really, and it doesn't cost, it's not, there's so many different ways that we can choose to move. And I think that we have to like deconstruct the way we think it's supposed to be done and then keep asking. What I often do is I ask myself, what can I do now? What can I do now? And it's like I can sit at the table and write with a pen and paper. If I'm stuck in the airport, I can take out a piece of paper and draw. I can like knock out. And it's always Glenn, we have this idea that like creativity is done and like you need the perfect like house and the cat's sleeping on your lap and you've got your tea and nobody's yelling in the background. You don't get any interruptions in your life.
Right.
But it's so rarely like that. What I find I'm doing is little chunks here and there between the responsibilities and chaos of the day-to-day life.
And yes, there is rigid mindset that it has to be done in this time frame, in this particular way, at this particular time, in this particular setting. And when my clients come to me with that, I do talk to them about mental flexibility, about seeing other ways, how to see other ways, other points of view of what they're dealing with. So I think we do lock ourselves in far too often and find ourselves frustrated, which trigger a lot of anxiety and depression when it doesn't work out the way it should. because we're locked in that one way, and that's not reality for most people.
Yeah, and you can feel it. You can feel yourself shutting down or the
Yes.
anxiety and the self-doubt or I have to or should. I
Yes.
almost, for me in my system, I almost feel it's like ice. Like I'm just becoming like my movement, not just physical movement, but like energetic movement. I'm just becoming frozen. And it's almost
Okay.
like even if you can wiggle your pinky, like write a paragraph, draw a little sketch, or make a note to yourself. Like you've got to kind of not let yourself get totally locked in because if you get totally frozen down, like just no motion, no choosing, that is very difficult to move out of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what role do you think, or what impact do you think social media has on how we move through life these days?
Well, this is so complicated to like the story that we believe from social media is probably the biggest thing to pay attention to. And
Okay.
when you look at like well, that looks so easy, all these things that people are doing. And you're like, that becomes your story. You don't realize, like, and then I see this especially with perhaps young men, young women. You see these extreme sports and you see these cuts and clips that are extremely dangerous. And it looks like one continuous life of
Hmm.
all these different stories. And you realize, wow, like one accident from one of these like one of these extreme movements could cost a life, could cost years of recovery, and you don't understand the real cost and consequence. So I find that like social media, the biggest thing to pay attention to is trying to keep it like grounded in yourself of what is realistic here, what is not, especially since the objective is to sell you into a dream.
Yeah. Okay. You want to say more about that?
Yes, a lot of the platform is used for marketing. And
Hmm.
so you're looking at how people want to sell a dream. Like, oh, I'm so successful. I don't have to work. Oh, it came
Yeah.
so easy for me. But you see a lot of the financial models of financial success is basically like, give me your money and I'll tell you how to get rich. It's it's weird. And so I like when I had looked at your book and living in total wealth, how you talked about the wealth idea being more than finance, being
Hmm.
so like well-rounded, like that to me is like, how do we like you're continually looking and testing reality going, is this real? Is this a real person? Is this all performance? And then in social media, you're wondering, what's real? What can I do? Who's authentic? It's very hard. You have to ask a lot of questions.
You do have to ask questions and not take it at face values, and un unfortunately, that is depressing to people who don't have that easy lifestyle or get that instant wealth or recognition. It can be very frustrating, and it's not, like you say, real on the surface.
And it's really, yeah, and it's really important to not compare experiences
Yes.
because as soon as you find yourself saying, like, oh my gosh, if, coulda, woulda, shoulda, that was me, and you don't understand, like, well, maybe they have a partner who works full time and supports them, or maybe they already
Mhm.
had, you don't understand the backstory of the story. And
Okay. Okay. So, is it fair to say that comparison is a lack of creativity?
well, I don't, I'd have to think about that one
Okay.
more. But I just don't think you can't compare experiences because everyone has come from a different path. And the way,
Go go ahead. Go ahead.
and that it just blinds us from really being able to see a person more authentically. And the way someone will handle one experience of, like, say, for example, a failure it may be they may not recover for their whole life and other people have different resilient factors and so
Hmm.
everyone deals with life differently and it brings out a lot of opportunity for compassion empathy and also how to support like co-creating how do we co-create together instead
Right.
of a model of always create for oneself so that oneself can get further along and not help the other people. So it's anyhow.
Go for it.
Well, I'm going to leave space for you to ask me something else about it, but it is part of the deconstructing of, how to, and I talk about it in my book, Growing Extraordinary People, and the model of attention and what our
Okay.
attention really is for. And if we think it's for ourselves, it's far from that.
Okay. I'll just say one more thing about comparison. And what I was thinking about that in relation to creativity is when we're busy comparing ourselves to other people, she's smarter, prettier, richer, thinner, then that pulls us out of the space to be creative for ourselves and for our loved ones. So I'm comparing myself to her to be like her when that may not align with who I am. And that pulls me out
I
of my
totally agree with
creativity.
you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's so important to stay present and realistic within oneself because you have the gifts that you've been given that they don't have, and you have the friendships and connections, and it's like you have to stay. So, like for me, also creating when I'm asking, what can I do now? I'm also asking, like, what do I have now? Where am I
Okay.
now?
Okay.
Who's surrounding me? What responsibilities? If I have an hour and I'm in say I'm in the airport waiting for the airplane and I'm sitting there, I can choose to space out, watch a movie, go get a coffee, or I can just say, I'm going to take a moment for me and work on my vision. And I have my laptop and I can, have enough battery. I'm just going to write for 15 minutes. And
Okay.
so, but I really agree with you that if you're pointing at staying centered, stay within yourself. Don't go into comparing. I'm totally with you there.
Okay. Now you mentioned attention. Um, there are a lot of distractions in our world these days. What do you mean by attention?
So attention, it's a long answer, and I won't give all of it. But in my life, part of my story is having been introduced to energetic seers at a
Okay.
very young age and understanding that attention is an energetic field.
Okay.
And that one of the biggest things was that the question really is like if you say attention deficit disorder, the question is, well, where is your attention? Where
Mm,
is our attention? And so when I like you're right, there's so much distraction. It's like, how do we protect ourselves to have the agency to choose something that's authentic to us, to protect ourselves, to create from a sense that's our inner voice and our authenticity. And so the attention then is also about what do we do with that attention? Who is this gift for? Who's the gift
okay.
for? And so is it for ourselves alone, like paying attention to ourselves, looking in the mirror, trying to make us look so good? Or is attention maybe a gift for those who are coming behind us, a way to help people who are beginning their journey? And that as we are able to step in the field of attention of people ahead of us, we can share that attention with the people who are behind us as well.
Okay. So to make sure I get that, attention is not just what you're looking at, what you're hearing. It's um oh, wow, I'm at a loss for words. It's it's spatial and help me here. Help me here.
So, so if you think about the Statue of David,
Okay.
people are very responsive to this amazing creative piece of work. But are they paying, like, what is the real, like, enamorment with? Is it with the actual statue or the field of attention that created the statue that still exists outside time and space?
Okay.
And attention as an energetic field is a model of like imagine a flashlight beam that shines, and wherever you put this beam, it changes what comes into it. And you think about intention and creation, and you're walking around a city and someone put a railing there. So when you're walking, you raise your foot and put your hand on the railing. If the door is lower than you should, then if the door is higher or lower, you will bend down. An attention has directed you of how to move, how to be in the world. And beginning to notice, how does your attention direct others to be? How do you share opportunity? Because if we create experiences and worlds in which you restrict people's points of view and you restrict people's creative abilities, then that's the opposite of the creative freedom and allowing people to have agency where they can step into their own artistic, you know, God space of being.
Okay.
That
All
was a lot.
right. It was, and I'm chewing on it as you're speaking. I'm taking it in, absorbing it, and translating it into my way of organizing the world. So as you were speaking, I was thinking of what came to mind was a client who she was very stressed out about the different areas in her life. She was bouncing from one topic to another, and I would ask a pointed question here, pointed question there, and I just let her have her space, right? And so after the session, she messaged me and she said, "Thank you for your supportive presence."
Mm,
I didn't tell her what to do. I didn't give her any guidance. I just asked a couple questions here and there, just listen, and was present for her. And she saw it as me being supportive. Is that similar to what you just described as attention or a part of it?
it's a part of it. And
Okay.
you're like, it's hard to talk about things that we don't necessarily have words for in the day-to-day life.
Okay.
That, but when you look at presence, your ability to stay, you're staying with her. And but you're also the attention is how you're paying attention to her. You are not checked out. You're not, you can still be, you can have presence, but also be paying attention to something else. We can pay attention to multiple things at once. And oftentimes that's where we are as just people, you're paying attention to your spouse or the timing for what you're cooking, you're paying attention to your job. But understanding the power of attention and then how to use it creatively.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Um, and so as I was reading through your blogs, I pulled out some tidbits that were directly applicable for me to mental health tips,
Mhm.
mental wellness tips. And one of them was attention, mindfulness, presence. The other one was navigation, which you talked about in your Move from the Center blog.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about that.
Whew. So part of my life is like I would call myself like a visionary entrepreneur. I've
Okay.
always had ideas. And when I was younger, if you imagine like you're looking at a picture and you see mountains and you see the distance and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make this house and that and go all these places." But as you get older and you start to take that path, like from a one-dimensional flat view, your point of view moves above it and you start to see like, oh my gosh, that's 30 years. That's like $200,000. Like that's like going to cost me, a divorce and a kidney stone and all these different things that are going to happen before I can really fully get to that. Or I need 50 people. The moving from center and moving like in the navigational aspect is like I really see so much, and that's why we have mentors and guides because they help move our points of view.
Okay.
And you as a mentor and coach and guide, you're helping people see other ways that already exist. It's not like it didn't exist. It's just that you help them see something that wasn't apparent to them at the moment.
Okay.
And so I'm doing the same in my work, but creatively also doing the same in the writing and the kids' book stories in the community building with the magazine.
Okay. So is it the navigation piece more about those creative choices in real time?
Yeah, navigation. So I see so much of it as navigation, because you have to know what choices you have to entertain, right?
Okay.
And it's really hard if you think, um, like for example, let's make it something super concrete, like your car gets a flat tire on the side of the road. And you're like, okay, I could sit in my car. I could get out and fix it myself. I could call my neighbor. I could call my spouse. I have AAA. Like you can start going down your list, but there could be something that you didn't expect that might be just randomly, like maybe a stranger pulls over and they have the same, and it's your neighbor, and they pick you up and give you a ride. Like you don't know like the spectrum of possibilities, but oftentimes, and that's not like necessarily that example. You could just keep going with more and more possibilities. But as a navigational, what you're trying to do as a creator, we're always trying to look for like, what's the path that we prefer to take, right?
Okay.
To the end result. Some paths will cost a lot of money. Some paths will be fast and easy. Some paths will be really painful, destructive. You get to really choose. And with using like creative intelligence, we're choosing like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to write this book and it's 600 pages, that's going to take at least 9 months or 3 years, depending what where your skill level. There's just real concrete details. So a
Okay.
lot of the navigating of life, we're continuously looking at all these different choices that we have.
Okay. Okay.
So when I'm talking about creativity, when we stop motion, you it's a real energetic stop, and there
Hmm.
are real energetic bindings and experiences that people have where they become stuck, like entanglements and experiences where they need extraction or they need help from other people to help them make a different choice because they absolutely can't see their way out of the maze that they're in or the trap.
Okay.
But creatively, looking at the bigger picture, how do we keep choosing? How do we keep moving? So even when you feel like you're at the very end, you don't have any other choice left, there's still one more choice. There's still one more
Hmm.
choice. And that's part of that resilience. But that's played a lot into my life work and
Okay.
how I do that on many, many different levels.
Rest in motion.
That's so important. Like that goes back to that ideal, like how you think it is. If you know the meme where this, how you think my life is, and sitting on the beach, having the drink and relaxing, and then how it really is, like getting the kids to school on time, rushing to write, um,
Right.
dealing with parents who are aging, like all sorts of things. And so so much of our storytelling to ourselves, the storytelling like, oh, I'm not going to get a break until it's over, I'm not going to get a break
Mm.
until I retire, or these different stories that can really like impact our own sense of like self-reflection, like
Hmm.
the idea of how to rest when you're moving, like taking little moments where maybe um you're driving the car and it's a long drive, but you can just listen to some music that feeds your soul,
Right.
or you do something. So that's a lot of that. And I think it's important to do, because if it's too much stress and too much strain without a counterbalance, you will find yourself in like a deficit.
I agree. I agree. I also was thinking as I was reading about rest in motion from your blog was that it reminded me of grounding. Being grounded enables us to um, be stable while we're in motion, while we're in flux and have energy flowing in and flowing out. Just being grounded allows us to rest in motion. That's what came to me when I read your words.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different techniques for, from just take breathing,
Hmm.
sitting down, or even being grounded or drinking a cup of water. There's so many different things, but I think more the aspect of like choosing it intentionally. Like I'm taking a moment for me to rest, even if it is still like you're on the surfboard in the ocean and you're having to paddle because there's a current.
Yes, I think that's always available to us as well. It's just being mindful of it and choiceful.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you talk about creative intelligence and move from center with presence, with awareness, and with precision. Tell us more about that.
This is such a important topic because in my background of interviewing hundreds of business owners and watching people follow dreams, the bigger question is what is the cost of the dream and what do you do after your dream comes true?
Hmm.
And if we're in a paradigm that we're shifting in is, you know, maybe going from a world of you can make your dream come true to dreams do come true. But what do you really want? What do you really want? And that's where creative intelligence, do you want to create this thing that is going to change the world in this certain way? Do you want to make the door stoop so low for your building? Do you want to make it more expansive and put like more accessibility and incorporate a greater level of like intelligence into your design?
Okay. Okay. And so the design part would be the precision,
Yeah.
and the awareness part would be the
Y-
concept.
y- It's yeah, it's a tricky because you can't like intend outcome. You could design something. It's a big thing I've been taught. Like you can only intend what you are going to do, but you can't
Control
control
the
the
outcome.
outcome.
Right.
So you can write this book and put all your effort into it, but how it's received by the world, how it's utilized. You have an invention, you put it out in the world. You don't know exactly. You can intend specific things, but some inventions, like for example, let's just say the car, can go a little too far where all of a sudden there's more than enough cars on the whole planet. And maybe it'd be better to change that, differently, have more trains or more bikes or more pathways for public transportation. Um, so using creative intelligence, that's part of like, look, there's a consequence to what we create and
Yes.
we have to live it.
Okay.
That's the hard thing of this human experience.
You mean everything I make isn't going to be perfect and right?
Any choice we make in that artistic choice of life, like I'm going to move across the country and be here, or I'm going to make this choice in a career. It's like we just have to, never know. You can never map all of it. And when we're looking at things navigationally as creators, like, oh, okay, you're trying to see as well as you can, like, what is in this terrain that I'm moving into? And you can talk to your elders and people have more experience and masters and gurus, and you can get feedback. They might say, actually, I'm going to give you some feedback. If you do this, this is what you can expect. So then, like, you're going to have 50 employees and you're going to have an HR person and you're going to be working 60 hours a week. And, like, you will
Right.
have real consequences. But it's a lot that we take on.
It is. It is. Now, as a global citizen, if each of us or more of us were consciously creative in our lives, how do you think that would impact humanity?
I think part of it, like the creation starts from the story you buy.
Okay.
And when you start saying, I am this, and you look at the most basic myth, like we're just people on a planet. Like this idea of boundaries, borders, countries, like, yes, there's different spaces, different experiences and cultures that have evolved, and we're still a bunch of people on a planet. And so and we're all trying to have people in my worldview want to have a good life. They want to share, they want to celebrate and have family and enjoy and be a part of this wonderful experience. But how do we, so being able to be that creative is like, how do we deconstruct the stories that perpetuate the lack of creativity?
Okay. How?
Asking good questions to begin with, like going into the deep, like noticing where we've accepted it blindly, noticing
Mm,
where we're just like, okay, I'm just one, it's an active experience of choosing and recentering and looking at things differently. And it takes time and practice to do.
okay. Okay. And it's doable though. It's doable.
I think things change over time. And yes, it's completely a possibility of choice.
And I think you mentioned it earlier that it's being creative is innate.
Yeah, I think that the biggest challenge we're faced on the planet is creativity, actually, because we can create solutions to many of the existing problems, but certain situations have been imposed by creativity and it can
Mm,
get changed by creativity.
okay.
And looking at like how you change those stories, change those identities, but also they have to be supported financially with resource. There is a boundary of like idealistic, like, oh, this would be great. We're all
Right.
living on this planet. And then you have real pragmatic reality, which you have to work in. And hopefully, over the course of time, people will continue to ask these questions and support one another in expanded creative growth.
Hopefully. Hopefully. And hopefully we will get to the point where we do recognize, acknowledge, and accept our shared connectedness. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So, do you have any programs, any offers that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, a good way to start to learn about my work is to go to my website, Time of Dreams, and I have a book that I've written about creating empowered, extraordinary people, creating
Yes.
extraordinary people.
Yes.
And it's about models of attention. And it is written as a parenting book, but it's really about how we reparent ourselves, how we pay attention, and learning how the attentions that have already existed, like noticing them, noticing how they stifle our creativity, how they support our creativity, and going into that. So that's a great way to start with me.
Okay. Okay. And so we can purchase the book from your website?
The book is there on the Time of Dreams, and there's links to buy it from there. And then I have coaching if anyone is interested in taking anything further in
Okay.
specifics.
Okay. Individually or and professionally, you coach.
In both.
Okay.
And that's in so much, there could be specific needs where people just want to, it's really about like, how do we all step into our voice in our day-to-day life?
Okay. Okay. And given this really important and huge topic of creativity, do you have one takeaway for the audience?
Keep choosing.
Okay.
Just keep choosing. Notice where your choice is and ask where that choice is coming from. Just keep choosing.
Okay. Okay. Very well. Shields, thank you so much. This has been a really interesting conversation, and I have a lot to chew on because you introduced a couple of new concepts for me or new definitions for me. So I thank you for that. I thank you for your work. I thank you for your global citizenry. So I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you also for the work you're doing and all the support you are bringing into the world.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Glen Alex Show. We really hope that you learn from the information and insights and tips presented to go out and create your healthiest and most joyful life. It will benefit you, your loved ones, and the entire world. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode, and drop a comment.
Refresh your spirit with a nourishing thought.
Please allow me to leave you with this nourishing thought. Albert Einstein said, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." Creative endeavors have a profound positive effect on mental, emotional, and overall health. Activities like dancing, singing, painting, cooking, decorating, playing music, gardening, or being in nature, even problem solving and playfulness are creative acts. Creativity lessens the impact of stress, anxiety, depression, and pain, while promoting mindfulness, the relaxation response, and resilience. Creativity is wealth, being joyful, connected, confident, and complete. My life's mission. Creativity is my lifeline. It enables me to authentically express myself, to be present, and to be connected to something more expansive than my individuality. Creativity is both humbling and an esteem builder. When I am feeling down, writing and singing nurture me. When I am feeling up, writing and singing affirm me. And on the daily, adding a dash of creativity to my work, to organizing my space, to cooking, to dressing, and to speaking brings joy to my body, mind, and spirit. And creativity can do the same for you. So please don't wait to feel it, or please don't wait for the right time. Get creative now and flourish in wealth, because your creative wealth will have a healthy and positive impact on you, your loved ones, and humanity. To learn more about your creative wealth, visit glenalex.com, order your copy of my 5-time award-winning book, Living in Total Health, order your copy of the Amazon bestseller, Wellness Through Words anthology, which contains my chapter, Living Well with Boundaries, and book your complimentary consultation with me. Then tune in to the next episode of the Glen Alex Show. And until next time, be well.